Let me ask you a strange question. What's the one thing you do every single day without thinking? Not your job. Not your studies. Something much smaller than that. Because that thing, if you really knew its impact, you might wish you had never started doing it. Don't answer yet. Just stay with me for a moment. I know someone, a very normal person. He laughs, talks, goes out with friends, and no one would ever suspect that anything is wrong. He seems fine on the surface. But every night, when he's alone, he feels this deep sense of tiredness. It's not a physical exhaustion, it's mental. He feels drained, like his energy has been quietly leaking out all day long, and the strangest part? He didn't do anything obviously wrong. He didn't have a huge fight or a major setback. He was just doing very small, seemingly harmless things every single day. Things that most of us do without a second thought, and that's what made them so dangerous. Because he never saw them coming, he never realized the toll they were taking until it was almost too late. He was living a life that looked okay from the outside, but felt empty on the inside, all because of these silent habits. The first thing he did was compare himself. It wasn't a direct, conscious competition. It was much more subtle than that. It was just a glance. A quick scroll through his phone while waiting for coffee. A photo that popped up on his feed. Someone else's success, someone else's vacation, someone else's perfect-looking life. It only took a few seconds, but the effect, the feeling it left behind, lasted much longer than he ever realized. He'd see a friend getting a promotion and think, oh, that's great for them. He'd see an old classmate traveling the world and tell himself, wow, good for them. He wasn't consciously envious. But each of these little moments was like a tiny pebble being dropped into a calm lake. One pebble does nothing, but hundreds of them, day after day, they start to change the water level entirely. He wasn't jealous, or at least that's what he told himself. He would say, it's fine. I'm happy for them. But his mind? His subconscious mind was recording everything. Every post, every story, every highlight reel. And slowly, without him even noticing, he started feeling like his own effort wasn't enough. Even when he was trying his absolute best, even on his good days, there was this quiet, nagging feeling that he was somehow falling behind. The standard for success, for happiness, was no longer his own. It was a distorted collage of everyone else's best moments. His own achievements started to feel small in comparison, not because they were, but because he was measuring them against an impossible, invisible scale. His motivation began to wane, not from failure, but from the constant, silent feeling of inadequacy. The second habit was even more dangerous. He started delaying his feelings. Every time he felt a pang of discomfort, a bit of sadness, a flicker of anxiety, a moment of loneliness, he would immediately distract himself. He'd pull out his phone and watch a funny video. He'd put on a podcast just to fill the silence. He'd seek out noise, any noise, to avoid the quiet conversations waiting in his own mind. He wasn't doing it because he was happy. He was doing it because he didn't want to feel. It became an automatic reflex. Feel something negative? Numb it. Postpone it. Run from it. He became a master of emotional escapism, thinking he was protecting himself from pain. He thought he was being strong by not letting things get to him, but the problem isn't the videos. The problem isn't the distraction itself. The problem is, feelings don't just disappear when you ignore them. They don't vanish into thin air. They wait. They go into a storage room in your mind, and every time you run from a new feeling, you're just adding another heavy box to that room. And eventually that room gets full. The feelings come back, and they come back heavier, more distorted, and much harder to deal with. That small flicker of sadness you ignored last week? It comes back as a wave of melancholy. That little spark of anxiety you pushed away? It returns as a constant, humming dread. By running from his feelings, he wasn't solving them. He was only giving them more time to grow in the dark. And the third habit, perhaps the quietest and most destructive of them all, he spoke to himself harshly. It wasn't a loud, dramatic self-criticism. It was a constant, low-volume inner monologue. When he made a small mistake, his first thought was, why am I like this? When he saw someone else succeed, a quiet voice whispered, see? Others are better. When he felt tired or unmotivated, the thought would be, I'm falling behind. I need to do more. These were words said quickly, almost automatically. He never stopped to question them. They were just part of the background noise of his mind. But words we say to ourselves, even in a whisper, don't just pass by. They settle. They take root. They become the foundation of our self-worth. Every harsh word was a tiny crack in his confidence, and over time those cracks grew into deep fissures. None of these habits on their own would have destroyed him. A little comparison here, a bit of distraction there, a negative thought every now and then. It all seems so normal, right? So human, but together? All three of them, repeated every single day, created a silent downward spiral. They pulled him down slowly, gently, without him ever noticing the descent. It wasn't a sudden crash, it was a slow, imperceptible fade. The comparison made him feel inadequate. The inadequacy made him feel uncomfortable. The discomfort made him seek distraction. And in those quiet moments when the distractions failed, the harsh self-talk filled the void, reinforcing the belief that he wasn't good enough. It was a perfect, self-sustaining loop of quiet despair. So here's the real question. The one I want you to think about: how many of these small habits do you repeat every day, thinking they're just normal? None of us need to become a new person overnight. The goal isn't to wake up tomorrow and be perfect. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is just to notice, to pause for a moment in the middle of our busy day, in the middle of a scroll, in the middle of a negative thought, and simply see what we are doing, to see what we're repeating unconsciously, to ask ourselves, is this habit actually serving me? Is it making me stronger? Or is it quietly draining my energy? True change doesn't always come from a massive overhaul. It often begins with a single moment of awareness. Because what we repeat daily is what we eventually become. Our lives are not defined by the big dramatic events, but by the small, silent things we do every single day when no one is watching. So let me end with one honest question. Which habit you just heard felt the closest to you? The quiet comparison, the escape into distraction, or the harsh inner voice? You don't have to answer out loud. Just let the question sit with you for a moment. If this video made you feel something, if it sparked a moment of awareness, don't forget to like it. And if you want more videos that encourage this kind of reflection, please subscribe to the channel. Sometimes real change starts not with a grand plan, but with a single video that makes you pause and think. Thank you for watching.